Before we try our first songs on the piano, we just need to go through a few basics about how to read music notation, and I want to do a mini review on where a couple of the notes are on the keyboard because that'll help you a ton when you're reading. Music is written with 5 parallel lines that go across the page. These 5 lines are called the staff. The staff operates on 2 axes, up and down and left to right. The up and down axis tells the performer the pitch of the note and what note to play. The left to right axis tells the performer the rhythm of the note. In Western music, pitches are named after the first 7 letters of the alphabet. After that, the cycle repeats itself. Every line and every space represents a separate pitch. If you put a note on one of these lines or spaces, we're telling the performer to play that pitch. The higher up on the staff the note is placed, the higher the pitch is. A clef is a weird shaped looking figure at the beginning of the staff, and it acts like a reference point. It tells you that a specific line or space corresponds to a specific note on your instrument. If we want to play notes that aren't on the staff, we have to draw these extra little lines called ledger lines. If you see numbers above the notes, what that's telling you is which finger to use. It's going to be the same numbering system for both hands. Your thumb is always 1, 5 is always pinky. Same thing on the left hand. 1 is thumb, 2 is index, 3 is middle, 4 is ring, 5 is pinky. Fast. 2 elements control this, the pulse and the rhythm. The pulse sounds like this. If you've ever seen a metronome, it's basically what a metronome sounds like, just a steady beat. Just like the second hand on a clock divides a minute into 60 seconds, with each second just as long as every other second, the pulse divides a piece of music into little fragments of time that are all the same length. With a steady beat as the foundation, we can start adding rhythm to the pitches, and then that's when things start to get fun. You may have noticed that across the length of the staff, there are these little lines dividing it in small sections. These are called bar lines. We refer to each one of these sections as a bar or a measure. At the beginning of a piece of music, just before the clef, there's something called the time signature. This tells you how many beats we have in each measure. If we look at the time signature of 2/4, the 2, which is the top number, is signifying that we have 2 beats in every measure. So if we were counting along while playing, it would be like 1, 2, 1, 2. The bottom number is telling you what type of note you're counting. In this case, 2/4, the bottom number is 4. That means you're counting quarter notes. So we have 2 quarter notes for each measure. I know time signature is a really difficult thing to learn, especially if you're not playing songs yet. So we're going to revisit this, but that's a general overview of what time signature is. It's basically just keeping track of how many beats are in each box on the page. There are a lot of different types of notes. There's quarter notes, which are 1 beat, half notes, which are 2 beats, dotted half notes are 3 beats. You've got eighth notes that are half a beat, 16th notes, 32nd notes, 64th notes. There's lots of different types of notes. For a while, we're only going to be dealing with quarter notes, which are 1 beat, and quarter note rests, which are 1 beat of silence. For this exercise, we're just going to clap the quarter notes, and then the rests, we're not going to do anything. I'll give you an example. I'll count to 4 for each measure, and I'll clap the quarter notes. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 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 rest. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so let's try it together. I'll give us a 4 count, and then we'll come in together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anytime you're doing rhythm, try to keep it as steady as you can. If you did this exercise, or if you were playing a song, and it sounded like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's not giving you a good rhythm. So you want to keep your pulse where it's really steady, like a metronome. You know, military kind of timing. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a really hard thing to control when you're starting out and you're just trying to figure out where the notes are, and you may not be able to get things steady in the beginning. Just keep it in your mind when you're practicing and make it a goal that you shoot for. Middle C, when it's played with the right hand, looks like this. Middle C, when it's played with the left hand, looks like this. So middle C just has a little line going through it. If it's played with the right hand, it's on the top. If it's played with the left hand, it's on the bottom. D is below the first line on the treble clef. E is right on the first line of the treble clef. Let's do a quick review on where some of the notes are on the keyboard. If we're trying to find where C is, just locate the 2 black keys, and then C will be on the left side. Let's just play all the C's on the keyboard real quick. Let's do that one more time. We'll just play all the C's. To find D, go back to the 2 black keys, and then D will be right in the middle of the 2 black keys. So let's just play all the D's on the keyboard. Let's do that one more time, just playing all the D's. Now E will be on the right side of the 2 black keys. So let's try to play all the E's. Once more, we'll just play all the E's on the keyboard. Let's try our first song on the piano. This is a song that I've written. It's called Fly Family. It's a wonderful composition. It's one of the greatest pieces of music that I've ever written. To prove it to you, here are some of my former students performing Fly Family. Now, if we look at this song, the time signature is 4/4. So we have 4 beats in every measure. All of the notes are on the top. When you're reading music, any note on the top is going to be for your right hand. Any note on the bottom will be for your left hand. The entire song is on the top, so we're going to be playing with the right hand only. The note with the line through it is C, and it's the middle C. If you have a full-size 88-key piano, you could even count across the C's to get to middle C. So if you go to the very first C on the keyboard, that's the first one. Then if we go to the next one, third one. So then the 4th C is going to be middle C, and that's typically the C that's right in front of you. Let's go through the whole song and I'll name the notes. So we have C, 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 C. Then we have 4 D's. Then the third measure was C, D, C, D, and then C, 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 C. Then we have C, D, C, D, C, 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 D, 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 C, 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 C. One, two, three, four. Second line. If you've never read music before, a lot of times when people get to the end of the first line, they just stop playing. So the song continues until you get to the double line at the end. That shows you that you're at the end of the song. So after you play the first line, then you go right to the second line and then play it from there. So let's try it one more time and then we'll go on to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now everybody moves at their own speed, so you may not be able to play it with me yet. If you can't, that's not a big deal. As you get comfortable with this, the one thing that I would try to do, keep the whole thing as steady as possible. You don't want it to sound like... the pulse we were talking about earlier. You want your notes to match up to that pulse. So if we have the pulse going, 1, 2, 3, 4. The notes should be playing in time with that pulse, which is hard to do when you're first starting out, but that's something that you can work towards as you get more comfortable with this. The next song we're going to try is very similar. It's called Cool Cat. It's the same exact notes. It's still just C and D, just kind of in a different order. Let's name the notes first, and then we'll try playing it. Try to name them with me. So I'll give us a 4 count, and then we'll name the notes together. 1, 2, 3, 4. C, D, C, D, C, 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 D, 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 C, 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 D, C, D, C, C, D, C, D, 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 C, 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 C. So let's try playing that together now. 1, 2, 3, 4. The song is called Doggy Daycare. This one is all just right hand again. We're adding one new note to it. The very first note is on the first line, which is E. So we have C, D, and E. Those are our only 3 notes through the whole song. So let's try to name the notes real quick. E, 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 C, 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 E, D, E, D, C, 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 C. The second line is exactly the same as the first line, so we don't have to name that. Let's try playing it together. I'll give us a slow 4 count, and then we'll all come in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second line. The next song, Baby's Gone Wild. It's still just C, D, and E. Same three notes that we had before. The one new thing in this song, the first two notes are on top of each other. When you see that, it's telling you that you play both notes at the same time. So it's going to sound like that. You play C and E both together. I'll give us a 4 count. Let's just try playing this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's do a little review. This is a lot of stuff so far. So let's review all of the notes on the piano again. Let's just play all the C's together real quick. Here we go. Now let's do all the E's together. Now we'll do all the D's together. All right, so let's do a quick review of all the songs we've done so far. So let's try Fly Family. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second line. Now let's try Cool Cat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, Doggy, Daycare. 1, 2, 3, 4.